Do, da, 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 da. How is everybody tonight?
Doing good.
Doing
Very good.
Jazz
Very
hands.
good. No, not jazz hands good.
Jazz hands.
I mean,
good.
that's pretty impressive.
So yeah.
When you get to that point. Vanta, I was just saying in the background, I always start like 5 minutes late because nobody shows up until 5 after, and now here all of you are coming in at 5 after. So 1 point for me, and
Actually, I saw there were 6 waiting 5 minutes ago.
oh, damn. Damn it, Granny. So anyway, one of the reasons I threw a link at Granny and was hoping she would come in is so we could discuss her stream the other night, because it ended up taking an interesting turn that I don't think anybody saw coming.
Oh, no, we definitely saw it coming.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I've been on Javier's channel before, and I was well aware that Javier was a conservative. And I even asked one of the guests who I knew that might possibly irritate. I asked Cynthia in advance. I said, Javier is a conservative. Are you okay with that? And so Cynthia was well aware that there was going to be a conservative on the panel.
She just tore him up. I'm sorry.
I'm curious, because when we start talking about terms like conservative, was he like a classical liberal conservative? Was he a Trump conservative? What kind of conservative was he?
That's a really good question, because when he first said he was conservative, I was really surprised, because a Black atheist conservative is a definite anomaly. And when he first told me he was conservative, I said, "You mean you're an economic conservative, not a political conservative?" And he said, "No, I'm a political conservative." However, he definitely does take a liberal position on some views.
Yes.
He is in favor of abortion. He is a feminist. So I would really classify him more as a moderate than I would a conservative.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And I think he claims the name conservative primarily because, one, it makes him an anomaly, and it gives him some talking points.
Yeah, see, I had no idea, and I came in a few minutes late, and things were already starting to heat up, and I was like, "What the hell is going on in here?" Because I know when once you hang out with Cynthia a little bit, and you go into a stream, and she's talking, and you see that look on her face, you know that the shit has hit the proverbial fan, and she's about to go off on somebody.
I was surprised at how conservative he was when it came to race issues. I did not expect him to be that conservative when it came to race issues.
Can you give us an example?
He doesn't think that racism is an issue in the United States. He thinks that, yes, there is police brutality against Black people, but he thinks that there's an equal amount of police brutality against white people.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was saying that he thinks that all the problems stem in the Black neighborhoods. And then it really has nothing to do with white people. And yeah. So, I mean, I will say this. I can't totally disagree with him, because every poorer neighborhood has problems. And it's not just Black neighborhoods or white neighborhoods or Hispanic. All of them have problems. The lower the income, crime starts up. People have kids to feed. They have bills to pay. They're going to do it one way or the other. And when you put them in that position where they have no other choice, I'm not going to say as a teenager, I didn't think about stealing stuff, because we had nothing,
I think that the danger here is to fall into the canard that somehow class is more important than race in America. And I don't think it is. And when you look at the data, people are more tribalistic in general. That's how our society is structured.
Yes.
Than class oriented. Though of course, class is an issue. But that's how, whether you look at the South during the Civil War, and that's how they got poor white Southerners to fight on their cause, basically, to fight for their oligarchs during the Civil War, to what you have going on today with white poor people voting against their own interests because they're afraid of brown and black skinned people.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues is he feels like when we look at this as a race issue, that he thinks that that's a more that will more divide us more than unite us. That by looking at it as a race issue, that we are saying, okay,
Oh no.
Oh no, I
Oh,
think she
no.
froze. It was something going to be really important too.
It was too. She was going so good.
yeah, my internet cut out for a moment there. But anyway, yeah, he sees it that when we look at it as a race issue, that we are dividing people even further by treating it that way. And I brought up the example of affirmative action, and he thinks that affirmative action was a bad thing for Black people, that it caused white people to look down on Black people more, that, hey, you can't make it on your own, you need some help. But I disagree with him there. I didn't say much in this stream because I was more just acting as moderator, and because I really wasn't qualified to say much in this stream. Yeah. But my opinion on affirmative action is that affirmative action was a way of trying to make up for the disadvantages that Black people had in trying to obtain positions.
Right. And white people have affirmative action anyway in this country. It's called white supremacy and institutional racism. So we already have affirmative action for white folks. And I just want to talk about the idea about, and I'm sorry for using the word idea instead of idea. I've been trying to work that through my, but I'm going to go with idea, is that we should be blind to social injustices, or we should be paralyzed in the face of social injustices because we don't want to divide people. I don't think that makes sense.
There are
logical or moral
pockets that are some hours away from me that I know I can go travel to, and if I go talk to any of those people, they're going to promote those ideas. They tell those horrible freaking jokes. They're out there. And if you dig around enough on the YouTubes and stuff like that, you can find pockets of those people who are pushing those ideas. It is out there. It definitely is.
Yeah. I have I might have maybe 20 minutes worth of material on crazy racist stuff I've seen as a white guy. Going back to my, and I've talked about it every once in a while, from the bus stop where my kids are getting on the bus in the morning to when I was in college and people saying out loud that slavery was okay. It's just what people say or what people have said in public back in the 90s, which seems like an eternity ago, which really isn't. Those people going to college in the 90s are now adults making laws and are cops.
That gets me. Right? I have such a hard time with that.
It's frightening. That's what it is. It's frightening.
I have my youngest, Robin, is turning 20 in another month, and I always forget that the 80s was a long time ago to Robin. It wasn't to me.
Well, I saw this meme the other day that back in the 80s, the 50s seemed like a long time ago. But right now, here, there's just as much difference in time from here back to the 80s as it was from the 80s to the 50s, if not more. And that helps me wrap my mind around things in terms of time and what different generations are.
When it comes to the whole segregation thing, if you talk about it like this and that, I can slightly understand that, because I've said that about the gay community. Like, people are like, "Oh, are you going to Pride?" And I was like, "I usually don't go." Why? Because people are like running around making themselves different, and then you want people to look at you the same. So what are we doing? Like, I'm not against expressing yourself or anything, but I think the gay pride festival should be focused on getting straight people to come to see that we're normal. We're going to run around in lacy underwear.
I have trouble with pride being.
I just don't think that's helping.
I have trouble. I have trouble with pride being co-opted by big business, to tell you the truth, more than anything else.
Oh my God, it's everywhere. Yeah.
20 years ago or longer, they wouldn't have anything to do with us.
Oh yeah, they hated us. Now they're running around banks or handing out pens and shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't like that part of it either. But
yeah, that's my biggest beef, I guess. The last time I went to Pride, which is the last time you could go to Pride before the pandemic.
Yeah, which was almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went. I don't know. I went like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just.
But
because of the companies and stuff, it was worse. It was just.
I will say, from what I've seen of the struggle for equality and the struggle for rights, is that the louder and brasher the voices typically move the needle to where you want it to be. Whether it's throwing condoms at priests during the 80s, during ACT UP, ACT UP, Speak Up, being the vanguard, it pushes the Overton window, right? What is able to be talked about in polite society to a point that we can actually start talking about the issues that matter. So sometimes you got to push the limits.
I agree with that. I don't know. I think that's the tough thing is how do you, it's almost like I want the gay community to ease people in a little bit. And then once they realize that we're good people, then go, you know what I mean? I don't care after that. Be yourself, but from people who have that old fashioned country, whatever perspective, it just scares them more and freaks them out more because they just literally don't understand. They've been fed bullshit. And I'm okay with talking to them and saying, hey, it's not like that, really, And I've dated women whose fathers were old fashioned and they look at me, like I'm not cool with my kid being gay and I'm definitely not cool with you kind of thing. And by the time I got done and we split up, like the father was like, well, I'll miss you, kid,
Yeah.
He just didn't know. He just didn't understand. Once he understood, he loved me to death. We were best friends. Every single guy I've met.
What I think was important was the fact that he knew someone who was gay outside of his family, outside of his daughter. And that's what, and this is what studies have shown time after time, is that if you know a person from a minority group, you become less prejudiced typically.
Absolutely.
And that's why I call myself an atheist. That's one of the reasons why I self-identify as an atheist, so that people can say, oh, I know an atheist, and he doesn't seem to be too much of a dumpster fire.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. As usual. How are you?
I can only stay for a little bit because I don't have much patience. The only reason that we have pride, that we have like gangs in Los Angeles, that we had people like the Black Panther Party, like the Malcolm X 5%ers, is because of cis white men suppressing their lives and telling them that they shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I agreed.
No, but I will never capitulate. You're talking about those people in the South. They can either live their lives or go fuck themselves.
Right.
They have no say whatsoever. And I think that's the problem. Someone like the person that was on Granny's stream was quite literally spouting Fox News PowerPoints.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, that's where we started. And then
I'm sorry, but like I've been saying all week, like I'm gonna shut this shit down and start teaching history to the kids, because that kid, he's lost his damn mind. And if you guys notice my attitude, I've lost it about race, because time and time again in the atheist community, I hear white people dictating to me about what people of color do. Let me tell you, it is 2021. I'm not asking for a damn thing except for you to get out of my way and live your life in peace just as much as I live my life in peace. anything else, if the other day Javier was like, oh, let's move on from the past. If you want to let go in hatred and things like that, that's fine. But I will never forget for the people that died so that I could be here, ever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Spot on.
And the same thing with pride. I hope people walk around in their underwear to piss off those people in the South because it's none of their damn business and it wasn't in the first place.
You're right. You're right. It isn't. But that's the only thing I know what to do that I do personally to fight it at all. Because if I tell one person and get one person to think it's okay, then that's 100 people that are going to think it's okay.
But to me, capitulation is not okay. I will not compromise who I am in order to appease somebody else.
And that's what I was saying. That's why it's hard to find that gray area in the middle there.
Yeah, that's but we live, I think sometimes we live in our heads because I'm bi as hell. I literally have a gay flag flying above my house. I live in a Mormon neighborhood and no one cares.
Right.
I live in the suburbs. I have all kinds of crazy shit that goes on in my neighborhood. No one cares. I think what it comes down to is controlling people, convincing followers and people who are just lemmings in the first place saying, hey, we should live like this when, you are in charge of who you are, no one else.
Absolutely.
Sorry to charge in here, Granny. How are you doing? Tobin, great to see you. Hi. I'm over it.
Well,
I'm
I love
over
Will.
it.
If he gets on a rant, he's my male Cynthia. That's what it is.
I have a mortgage.
Just let him rant.
I have a mortgage and a hammock. I've been getting a tan all day. I'm wearing my shorts right now. That's the most skin you will ever see. That's what I was doing today. I was in my backyard getting a nice even tan.
Sounds like a good day to me, man. Tell you what, I'm just glad it's Friday because now I have a real job where I work Monday through Friday.
Yeah, those are tough
and
jobs.
Nothing past 5 p.m.
Oh well, that's good.
Yeah, but we end up staying until 5:30 or 5:45.
I feel like Robert was saying a lot of things that I was feeling, and maybe some of the things that I was actually saying, but much more fabulously. Well done.
Yes, he does that a lot to me.
I'm just looking at the chat. I would love to go party with you, Ox. We both might leave on probation though. I'm a lot more trouble than I look like.
Oh my goodness.
So
what am I going to do with you? But anyways, I don't know. The problem is that there is no set path. I feel like there's different ways you can poke at it, and you can even do all three, but it's, there's no set path to it.
Well, there's a point to be made that different tactics for different times too. So when I'm interacting with people that I don't know, I don't teabag them with the fact that I'm an atheist. That is my lead off position.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm blogging or when I'm in this space, I'm much more upfront because it's a different space and it requires a different tactic. It requires different strategy. So, pride is definitely its thing. And when we're trying to make big social progress, large, leaps forward, then that requires a different set of a different type of strategies than when we're just hanging out together offline in a pub or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to make that point to someone on Twitter recently because I troll a number of Christian mainstream pastors, speakers, authors, and one of them that I go after is Beth Moore. Although, frankly, I have a lot more respect for Beth Moore now as an atheist than I actually ever did as a Christian. Partly because she told her own followers that I was welcome to troll her site as much as I wanted to and stop telling me to leave.
Oh,
oh wow.
But anyway, I got into a discussion with one person and it came up that I'm a Kaja, a CASA. I work as a volunteer with juveniles as their representative in court. And this woman was flabbergasted. How can they allow an atheist to work with children and represent them in court? And I said, do you really think that only Christians are allowed to be judges and attorneys and so forth? And she said, well, no, but But you're so vocal about what you believe. And do you think I'm this vocal with children? I don't tell children what I believe.
Do you think?
See, which is worse, right? I don't want any kids I know around priests.
I kind of prefer
and
now
these freaking Christians who try to contaminate people's brains. I don't think kids should be around them. So who's right?
No, it's important. It's important because when my ex-wife and I were, we had a bitter divorce, and so Isaiah got his own advocate lawyer. And she came to my house and she told me several times about how she felt more comfortable being around me because I was raised Catholic and she was Jewish. And I thought that was really, really unprofessional.
Hold up. No one who is Jewish should be comfortable around anyone who's Catholic.
Nobody
should be around
know your history.
My ex-wife my ex-wife was raised with no religion. So when the advocate came to my house, I put the Lady of Guadalupe up. I put this this Mark. Jesus thing that my dad gave me on the wall. I put all this this ball bearing statue. Oh yeah, and it worked.
I fucking love it.
Hey, it worked. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah. It worked. Like I told B, my ex-wife,
it's your kid. You got to do what you got to do. It's like that one comedian said. Sometimes you got to suck that dick.
We get along.
Take care of your kid, man.
No, my ex-wife and I, we get along. Like everything's fine now, but we fought in court bitterly for years. Yeah, oh, it's the worst. Yeah. We should have just sent each other on like a world vacation or sent him to college like 9 times. Because that's how much money we spent suing.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's ridiculous.
We did mediation, which meant that we had to be in the same room face to face, negotiating everything. And the thing is, we agreed 95% on everything, and then it was that 5% that we could not. And it took a year. It took a year for us to come to an agreement. But cheaper than lawyers.
I'm cheaper than a lawyer.
I had stuff, and so it took a while to see how much of the half they were going to give to her.
How much of the half? Yeah. Is it like a 60% half or 40% half?
No, I utterly and completely went out in court, but still, sign a prenup. If you're even if you're a thousandaire.
Wait a minute. Somebody in the stream has $1,000. Who?
Just saying.
I'm a poor heir. That's what I am.
I'm an heir. That's all I have. I got heir. Anyway. Oh my goodness.
But I want to say something. I have no ill will towards Javier, and I want to keep saying that.
Oh, I don't either. Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not trying to bash him. I just don't get it.
Neither do I. No, but Robert Reed kind of said it the best. Like, I respect you. In no way do I agree with you, but I respect you, and I kind of want to keep it like that.
No, absolutely. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's just misled.
And experience shows sometimes. And sometimes we show our inexperience when we talk. I know I do all the time.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, when I was 28, I knew everything.
Exactly.
And then I hit 32 and I was like, oh, I didn't know shit. And then I hit 36 and I said, oh, I didn't know shit. And here I am. And that hasn't happened in a while because I'm awesome. But anyways, the point is,
when I was 40, I didn't know shit.
Yeah, see?
I need to keep hearing that.
No, I feel right now, Grady. I'm like, that was so 10 years ago.
That's what I'm saying, though. I don't feel the same way I did 10 years or 10 years before that or 10 years before that.
Absolutely not. Because we're constantly growing and learning.
Hopefully.
Pay attention. Look around.
Yeah, some of us do that. Some of us are trying to do that.
There you go. Mike said, hey, thousandaire, I need a new fridge. Oh my!
I'll mail you my my freezer. It's becoming not so energy efficient.
Right.
Just to hold my son's pirate hoard of French fries and onion rings that he's obsessively eats. Kids with ASD. He eats certain things. I'm like, all right, at least you're eating.
Right. It'll be like popcorn and blueberries next week. But anyway,
I wish.
Yeah. So as far as Javier goes, I think he's intelligent. He's well spoken. He stands firm in his convictions, and I respect him for that. I truly do. You know, it's like my brother says, people that get swayed easily, he doesn't want to talk to them because they're going to be Jewish next week and Muslim the week after that. He wants to talk to people that stand firm in their conviction, because if you can change their mind, then you've done something.
I'm blindly standing in my position, and I'm still willing to hear people out.
Yeah.
Because there, you know, even just in the year that I've been in the community, there's certain things that have, you know, I've been proven right, and other things I've been completely wrong about. And certain people too, you know, some people I'm like, okay, they are an a-hole, and other people I'm like, you know what? When you get to know them, they're actually a good person.
Is this show called Javier?
Yes.
Like, is he a new YouTuber? Oh, see, I just subscribed to him, and you know, I did not catch any of those. It was all more about religion, you know, context, the stuff that I've heard from him so far.
Oh, okay. You know, he's talking religion and not race. Okay.
And it's a generational thing too. My parents hated anything that had the N-word in it. I listened to a lot of rap, like 90s rap music when I was a kid. My mom, I love telling this story. I love telling this story. I was listening to a tape. Kids, it's an actual tape you would put in a tape player. And this particular rapper said the N-word every other sentence. My mom walked in calmly, turned the tape off, grabbed it, and snapped it in half. And dumped it in my trash and walked out of the room. You know, so
I understand that completely. That makes complete sense to me, because when I was a kid, people were still using that as a slur.
It was like, because my dad was hardcore PTSD, Vietnam, there was a lot of things we weren't allowed to do, and that was on the list. That was on the list. Like, we weren't allowed to watch war movies in the house. We weren't allowed to, like, we had surround sound, and we had to warn my dad, like, hey, there's gonna be explosions in this movie. Like, hey, you know, like, we had to read the back of the box and be like, hey, because he had real PTSD.
Good.
Yeah. You know,
I'm glad that you guys did that for him. I'm not saying good that he had it. Good that you did that for him. That's
guys,
really important.
But I grew up like that. I grew up like that, so.
That's like I always tell my friends, if I'm riding with someone, please do not tailgate people. And they go, oh, you don't like that? I'm like, no, I don't like having a panic attack for the entire ride. So can you... I don't want to be doing the passenger brake thing and holding on to the oh shit bar and freaking out the whole time. So if you could just stay like 2 car lengths away, I would love that.
When anyone tells me anything like that, I file it under, okay, I'm gonna try to not F this one up, you know?
Yeah. But you know, I think that's a big part of all of mental health is the stigma behind it, that it's so horrible that you shouldn't talk about it. You know, I shouldn't tell people I have anxiety because it's, you know, it's horrible. No, it's just a fact. And lots of people have it. And lots of people have a lot of problems, and you just don't realize it because they don't say anything because they think they're not supposed to. But,
and you know,
just horrible.
Even online, there's been things I've been watching and I'm like, oh, I have that. Maybe I should go get help. And I did, you know, so pay attention.
Lone Wanderer, nothing happened to Javier. He had a disagreement with a couple people on a panel. They were all like, you know, respectful, got a little irritated, but nothing crazy, and walked away, you know, respecting each other. And there's nothing wrong with or anything with Javier. We just
no, not at all.
We were just discussing what happened and how Granny and Will felt about it, and we were throwing our shit in.
I was at the channel for 5 seconds, and it's just like, oh, he seems like a nice guy, fellow atheist, but he's wrong. He's wrong about politics, obviously. I mean, identifying as an atheist conservative right there. That is just, and I just want to point this out once again. Saying that you are a atheist conservative means that you are digging your own grave in the United States of America.
Which is why I don't understand it.
If you're an atheist conservative, you are digging your own grave.
The other day, I came with a disclaimer when I was talking about Granny Stream that I'm biased. everything we were talking about, I'm not a non-biased source. I only want to hear one side. So I was a little blindsided, but I'm emotional. I'm old, so I manned up and just kind of listened to what he had to say. I listened to what he had to say.
Tobin is the only one on this panel that's younger than you, and not by much. So
Tobin and I are the exact same age.
The exact same age.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had stumbled across this. I'm May 11th, 1980.
February.
See that birthday coming up real soon, Tobin.
Interesting. I apologize, Will. I thought you were 3 or 4 years older than that. So.
No, it's because I gripe about being old. I'll tell you why. It's because my pops was 43 when I was born. So I was always like, I have a brother who's 61. I've always been around people who are so much older than me. And so even when it's not that like I didn't have a childhood, but I was always trying to be like 20-year-olds. I was always trying to be like, because those were my examples.
That's Robin too.
So
Robin grew up, a toddler in a teenage world.
Exactly. That's exactly how I grew up.
I did too. I mean, my oldest sister that I grew up with, because of course there's another brother, but she's 9 years older than me. So when I was 7, like she was hanging out with these big, almost men boys, and the other one was bringing her friends by all the time, and I was staring at them like, she's so hot all the time. Anyway, so
I will say though, when I speak to my brother, who's 49, I now call him young man, and he always laughs because he used, when he was my age, he'd always say, "Oh, I'm old," and now I get what he's saying. It's not that I feel old. It's just experience sometimes makes me feel old. Someone will say something, and I'm like, just let it happen to you, or let it happen to someone you love, or or someone will say something, and I'm like, oh, I've been there, but I'm from the suburbs. I grew up with an advantage in life. So I'm just a lucky person, I guess.
Well,
No, and that's why I was glad that Granny brought me on her stream, because I definitely have a different perspective of what it is to be a person of color. And I do suffer from a lot of that stuff I gripe about. And I own my own house. I have 2 crappy trucks and a nice car and a great life. And I still worry when I get pulled over. Our sheriffs are notorious for killing anybody. And I want to say that because it's, we always talk about race, but in LA, if you reach for your cell phone, you're toast. You are toast. And yeah. I've seen them do it to the whole entire spectrum of whatever you would think of as a person, So it's just scary times. I was gonna move because of all the tension going on in the city pre-COVID. And thanks to the election, now I know where I can't move.
Good point.
Oh, come on, Will. We already knew that.
Well,
we knew that in 2016.
One thing that I got from a book was, just how scary it is for a person of color to get pulled over. And you hear white people saying, well, if you just comply and do what the officers say, you'll be fine. And yeah, Auntie's right. No, absolutely not. One guy got shot for complying too quickly, and another guy got shot for complying too slowly.
Well, this is why, a lot of people who are brown and black skin don't want to call the police, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they would rather take care of their own business than calling the cops. Because as soon as you call the cops, things get out of control, or things can get out of control.
Around here, the cops have this really weird rule of taking everyone to jail, so no one really calls the cops anymore. Yeah. Like even if there's a domestic or a punch up, even if you're defending yourself, you go to jail. Like say you're walking down the street and someone punches you and you knock them out and you wait for the cops would arrest you.
Yeah.
I would not wait for the cops.
I swear the only people that call the cops are like the Karens and the businesses. That's it.
Yeah.
Karens and businesses.
I live in a neighborhood of police officers, and guess what? Spoiler, they don't call the cops either.
When I worked retail, why I called the cops, honest to God? Because they were assholes. And they fucking treat us like shit. And if I didn't call the cops, I was gonna fucking kill him. That's why I called the cops.
Well, it's
get this guy out of here, because I swear to God, man, like the guy that punched me in the neck. Oh my God.
See, but that's different. Someone assaulted you; they need to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like hands down, somebody that's a rule. To
They
me,
didn't even go
your
look
hands
for
to
him.
yourself.
They never even went and looked for him.
That
they never even came back and got the videotape from me. They never came back and got a report off of me.
Yeah.
Nothing. Just.
I said this the other day. I can't stand people that put their hand on you and say, "Oh, I'm going to pray for you." So I don't like people touching people in that physical sense. So someone touching someone, like, you need to go to jail.
There's no touchy and no feeling here.
I'm weird like that. But I wear, like, it only, let's tell the truth, it only happens when I wear my patches.
Nah.
And somebody or like my son has a hammer and sickle on his hat, and somebody recently was like, "Can I pray for you?" And I was like, "No." And they walked off. I
will say though, I got a little bit of a revenge on him, because after he punched me and I didn't like scream and cry and run away or whatever he thought was going to happen. I don't know. And I just put my fist down by my sides with my arms straight, and I walked towards him very quickly, and I just went, "Ugh!" and he was like this, like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, I see, you better get out of my store right now. So I think I made him pee his pants just a little, because I didn't scream and run away, and I went after him. Didn't hurt, it just pissed me off. It's like, if you're gonna, you don't stab a bear. You know what I mean? You shoot a bear. You stab him, he's gonna fucking come after you.
Hi, everybody in the chat. I came in here punching and screaming, so I'm saying hi to everybody in the chat. Half an hour later. I love you all. You all are amazing.
34 minutes, but it's okay. We're not counting.
I came in late.
Out how to be able to do that. I've attempted a couple of times, but then I start losing track of the conversation, and then I don't want to get asked something and be like, I wasn't paying attention or something like that. Like, how to gain that balance of reading the chat and maybe responding to them.
I think I'm going to loan you some of my ADHD.
No, you know what? Honestly, I'm good at all of this because of my ADD.
Oh yeah.
Like, I can answer Twitter on my phone, and I'm drinking coffee, and I'm petting my cat down here, and I'm talking to you guys, and I'm looking at the chat. I love it.
Right now. Well, hold on. Let's turn this one on too. If you want to talk about ADD, I have David Tennant kind of looking at me because I haven't turned. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens on in Adventure Time on an ancient MacBook Pro because
Adventure Time. Credit for Adventure Time.
Sorry. My son grew out of it, but I never did. On a
Adventure Time is magic. That's what it is.
On a 2010 MacBook Pro, because now it's just a great DVD player.
Mm.
So it's all about the ADD.
I want to laugh at this comment, but he's right though. I want to laugh at the same time. Like, yeah, they fucked with me hard.
Tobin, it does help being old, because if you miss something when you're old, you just claim a senior moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, isn't the age like 60 for that? So you're like just right there now.
6 more days. I turned 60 in 6 more days.
See, you're right. That's what I'm saying. You're right there. See me, I got 10 more years before I can use that shit. So,
my pops, we always kind of knew he was deaf, and I always knew him as an older man, and so we'd always have to project and yell when we were talking to him. And when he was in his early 70s, he got hearing aids, and he turned and he looked at me and he was like, "Have you always been this loud?"
Yeah.
And it dawned on me that he'd been ignoring me for 30 years because he couldn't hear a damn word that any of us were saying. Even my mom finally dragged him down because he was on diesel ships, from 57 all the way to 72, during the Vietnam conflict, so to speak. And so he went deaf. It wasn't for no reason. Like, he went deaf, but there were ways around it. He had great health insurance.
Here's a question: did he have tinnitus? Did he have the ring in his ears?
He used it as an excuse to ignore us all because my dad was an electrical engineer and he always had a project going on. Yep. He was always building something, making a new console, fixing his truck, fixing his boat. It was always, he was super ADD, so it was always something.
Yeah.
I had an issue somewhat similar like with my mom, and I didn't get it until I had my first kid. And the issue was actually that when I was a toddler, I talked all the time. I never shut up. And so as a teenager, when I got to be a teenager, my parents had just learned to completely tune me out because I was always talking. And when I picked up that they weren't listening, I used to stop mid-sentence and to find out if anyone was actually listening to me. And when I realized they weren't, I quit talking, and I don't talk anywhere near as much as I used to when I was a kid. And then when I had my first kid and she started talking, and she was talking all the time, and I, finally got to the point where you can't listen to all of it. I suddenly realized now I get why my mom started tuning me out.
See, and that's why I tell people I don't know how my mom did it. Did you read that, Granny? I don't know how my mom did it with all of us running around, and there was almost always two people were fighting because there were so many of us. Like, there was always two people that were mad at each other at some point during the day, So there was always fighting, but there was lots of laughing and shit too. Of course,
I was raised old school, like
constant.
In no way did we want to aggravate my mother or father because they were both aggressive. So in no way did we want to bring attention, to the point where sometimes my brother and I, we would step outside and go toe to toe to where our parents wouldn't hear us because we were so mad at each other.
Well, my dad was rarely around, so it was pretty much just mom. But by the time I was 8, he was gone. So the two girls were gone. It was just the boys and me, and then it was just mom. And she still handled that shit, man. She was not scared.
I fondly remember the 3 or 4 sessions we did in family therapy where I did duck and cover, basically, as the nuclear bombs were exploding around me. And that was my basic how to survive the Hall family. It was just hide.
Oh, man.
I grew up right on that cusp of where you could still beat your children.
Oh yeah, dude. No. We had the belt. The belt was out. The belt was out. It was only taken away during when we had functions, when people came over. The belt was always out. The belt was always ready, just in case.
My dad had the belt on every day, so he'd just go and pull it off, and you were like, "Damn, this is gonna this is gonna be bad."
Y'all remember on it, and you could hit it and smack, go back and forth with it.
Wait.
Do y'all remember those?
Wait a minute.
You're junk shopping and roboting.
Try to say that all over again.
Do y'all remember those paddle balls where the ball was connected to the paddle and it had that rubber string between it, and you sit there and hit it? And, well, ours broke, and then that got used a couple of times, maybe a handful of times. But that was one of Woo.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a principal in LA from the 50s all the way until I think the 70s. He was way retired by the time I came around, but he always kept his paddle in his office. That thing is illegal by today's standards. You would be cheating in cricket if you used it. It had air holes. And the funny thing is, we did this Jenny Gump thing. It was so funny when he died of Parkinson's fairly young in my family. He died at 82. My grandmother lived to be 99. She died 2 years ago. Well, 3 years ago. We were emptying out her house, and my cousin was so traumatized. He looked at me and he's like, "We have to burn it." So we burned it in his backyard, Jenny Gump style. Instead of pushing the house down, we burnt the paddle of oppression.
The paddle of oppression.
I have like I because I'm half black and half Mexican. Just in LA, I have like 30 cousins.
Yeah,
and so they were, all the older generation got the hell kicked out of them. Were held accountable for their actions.
I have two things to say about that. We had a principal in high school, Mr. Poole, and my brother will attest to this. Mr. Poole liked to paddle, and Mr. Poole was like 6 foot-ish, 2 maybe, and he was a football player that had blown out his back, so he became a teacher and then went on to be a principal. He was very strong, and we made jokes that the only reason he had a love seat sitting across from his desk in the room was to catch children, because he would hit you and you'd fly into the love seat, and then he'd bring you back, and you got 3 of those, and it was formidable.
I hate
when I think about why the world is so messed up as it is. Those are the stories that I think about. I reflect.
I tell you what it did though? It made it better for me, because when I got older and started getting whipped more at home, I was ready for it. So I appreciate Mr. Poole.
Do you know?
I understand the spirit in what you're saying. But yeah,
I'm just being a smart ass. Yeah.
It just made me resentful and hateful.
Sure.
With my father, he was such a dick about it. It bothered me. But with mom, she never spanked us unless we truly deserved it. Like my dad would say, "Who did this?" And he'd have us light up, oldest, youngest, and everybody would go, "Not me," it wasn't me, Dad, kind of thing. And so he'd come over and start with me. And so my sister, and I think my brother might have done this as well, they would be like, "Oh, it was me, Dad," and they'd get in trouble for it, so he wouldn't beat me. And I was like 6.
Do you know? My
But my mom, she never touched us unless we deserved it. Every single time my mom beat my ass, I fucking deserved it. And I will fully admit that. I take absolute blame for it.
3 days ago, sorry, Tobin.
There's an equipment made, and this guy is probably one of the people that are a loose cannon, a person,
right,
that has done so. And he, I got to know this person for a short period of time, and he'd been telling me stories of whenever he would get whooped as a kid, his mom would make him hang from a limb and have to hold on to that limb, and if he dropped, it would start all over, and he would have to recount. But I don't see how that made him I don't think it helped him. I think there's definitely got to be consequences to our actions, but
there's a difference between discipline and child abuse. There's a huge difference. My mother never made us bleed. She never hit us anywhere but our butts until we were taller than her, and she couldn't put us out of her knee anymore. And then because she was only 5'2", so once we hit 14, 15, if we did something bad enough, we get smacked. But we had to really screw up, and I had friends down the road who got
spanking doesn't teach anyone anything. It is of no value. The American Pediatric Association has come out and said that spanking is child abuse.
So
I understand that.
It's actually counterproductive. That's what it is.
But when you have 6 wild children in the home and 1 woman, and plus with her, when she was raised, what she did to us was kind and forgiving, because we were in that next generation after.
I get that.
You beat the shit out of your kids.
I agree.
It still is.
But she had to lay down the law with us because we were wild kids.
All it did was
okay. No, so the problem with medieval justice, and let me just finish this thought. The problem with medieval justice, and the reason why it was so vicious, is because it was so infrequent.
Yeah.
If you're able to create a structure in which you give consistent incentives for good behavior, you're less likely to feel the need that you have to bring out to bring out an ass whipping. So once again, positive reinforcement and incentivizing good behavior is generally better.
I agree.
No, I'm going to say this really
quick. All of my family's kids, we didn't beat. Well, one of the brother-in-laws was a dick for a while, but we didn't beat the kids. None of us did. Yeah. A couple pats on the butt on a diaper when they were in that before 2-year-old stage to say, "Hey, I mean it." And then we never had to do anything after that. They respected us. because we were firm and we were consistent with them.
So
and
you
by
can
the time
do that.
they were 4 or 5 years old, those kids knew this is where this is the line we don't cross. They knew.
You can do that without spanking. My kid knows. He knows because I'm such a joking person. When I'm deadpan, my son's like, "Uh-oh." Like it's time to get in gear and get it done. Because my parents were such aggressive people, I'm an absolute non-spanker. Because
that's my point. That's my point is as the generations go by, these things lessen. Well, hopefully.
But personally,
I wish it worked like that with racism.
It just made me angry. It just made me angry and hate-filled.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It did. And I left
home.
I left home at 17 and didn't come back for almost near my parents for almost 11 years. You know, because I was so resentful towards my parents. And when I came back, they were old and I got over it. But I want to say this really quick.
That's good.
The difference between back in the day and now is the other night, my son shot a mirror that's in his room with his airsoft gun that I told him not to have in his room a million times. He was playing around with it. He was being an action hero. And he shot a mirror that's probably like 100 and something years old. In order to replace the mirror, I'd have to shave glass. And I walked in his room and I was like, "Oh, you're one hell of a shot. Take the gun and go put it back on." Because I have a bunch of BB guns on a rack. And I was like, "Go put it back on the rack." My father would have ended my life and made everybody watch.
See, I just would have made him clean it up.
I did. I didn't even. It's not that I didn't care, but because I came from such an abusive background, I was like, because he was like, "Oh, I made a mistake," you know. And he comes and I knew something was wrong because he came in and he told on himself. So I knew. I was like, "Oh, I was expecting damage."
I always said I would rather hear it from you directly than to hear it from somebody else.
Damn right. That's my rule. And so I calmly walked in and I was like, "You're okay. Great, you're a great shot."
Robin took me up on that recently because I've told all of my kids as teenagers, you go to a party, you get drunk, you get high, whatever, you're in no shape to drive home, you call me.
Yep.
There will be no questions asked and you will be transported home safely. And as a joke, Robin called me from college in Auburn, which is a 3-hour drive away, and said, "Mom, come and get me." No, it was just a joke. There was nothing wrong.
That's funny though.
But it was funny.
Come and get me. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, my mom said that to me. She actually said to me, she actually started, she was like, "What, you're going out and drinking, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get hurt." And I was like, "Oh, Mom." She's like, "Look, do you want to drink a beer once in a while?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You give me the money and I'll buy the beer for you. And you can drink it home where it's safe." And I was like, "All right." And by this time I'm 17 anyway, So, and that's what I started doing. And it was actually cool because I ended up hanging out and having a beer with my mom and we had a blast. And I didn't have to go anywhere and deal with drama and try to get home and deal with mom being mad at me. And I quit getting drunk because I didn't get drunk because I didn't feel like I had to rush and hurry up and drink before mom found out. You know what I mean? So it was nice. It was nice to have that level of trust and that no matter what, I got you thing. That's great.
We did have a house in our neighborhood that the teenagers, we were allowed to throw parties here, and the parents, there would be parents, and we would be allowed to drink. We had to give up our car keys, and you had to stay the night. But it really allowed us to kind of I really learned how to pace myself, and it was a place you could act a fool, but nobody went out and ended up getting hurt or anything like that. They're good parties.
Rock on.
There was a couple of times where things got crazy, but we had supervision. I don't know. There is people interacting.
I grew up with feral kids and parents that weren't home on the weekends, and we had raging parties. And I stay awake at night sometimes thinking about what my son's going to get into one day.
God, how much is he like me? Shit.
Yeah.
Well, luckily my kid's past that age, so.
No,
they already did all that stupid shit. So that's all done.
Because I grew up around people of different religions. When I was a kid, I never understood when people would be like, oh, I'd say, oh, I'm Catholic. And they'd be like, oh, that means you lied to your parents. And even though it was true, I never understood why they would say that. It's because all the Catholic parents were harsh.
Oh.
We had these unreal standards. And even my parents, they really didn't care as long as other people didn't find out and they didn't get judged.
Yeah.
Haven't you heard the song, Will, Only the Good Die Young?
Yes, I have.
Yep, I'm going to be 110.
Catholic girls start much too late.
Not where and that's another thing. Like, we were stereotypes. Like, we would smoke cigarettes behind the church. I had fun at my Catholic church.
So Tylenol helped, Swede?
It took 3 regimens of Tylenol to break the fever.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I don't know the backstory, Sweet. So what happened?
The second Moderna shot is what happened.
I had Pfizer. The day after my second shot, I was pretty wiped out. I had chills. My fever was only very mild. I mean, 99, it was no big deal. But I just felt so wiped out. I slept almost the entire day.
I've decided when I go get mine, I'm going to do it on a Friday, so I have the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it. Make sure you don't plan to do anything the day after.
Well, that's what I did. I got my second shot, and then I drove down to North Carolina. For,
You
nice
mean the
drive.
girlfriend drove?
Well, I drove down maybe I put in like 5 or 6 hours on the drive, and then I collapsed in a fetal position in the seat.
Yeah, it was.
I don't feel good, honey.
Yeah.
I'm lucky where I work that they gave us an extra day of PTO to use for the second shot, because everybody was like, I can't work like this. I think over half of us that got our second shot, they were like, yeah, no.
So while we're on a good pause here, Granny said she's got to go. So Granny, what do you have coming up?
I have a new video that's mostly just fun, poking fun at Terry Pearson's Copeland. I'm sorry, Terry Copeland Pearson's. Just laughing at one of her prayer services. I released that to my patrons first thing this morning, so I'll release that publicly probably tomorrow morning. I am leaving on a trip to go help my daughter move from Seattle to San Diego. Yeah, I'm going to drive right past Godless Sewing's house.
Literally right past my house.
And so I'm going to be gone all week, but I do have this set up because on Tuesday I have a huge stream. Seth Andrews will be on my channel, along with Jen with one and Javier, and and Julie from Wine and Reason will be on too.
Oh, cool.
And so that will be Tuesday at the usual time of 7 o'clock. But I'm actually going to be doing that from a hotel. So I've got to get that all set. I've got to take all my equipment with me and set that all up in a hotel.
So you're going to be leaving soon?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then I've got a video that I canned that I've started. I just need to edit it, and I'll release that next week for my next produced video. And that one's an answer to a response to Answers News.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for coming in, Granny. I appreciate you, and it was nice chatting with you. And we don't get to do that very often, so thank you.
And,
thanks for having me.
Bring some sunscreen. It's going to be hot here.
Okay, I will do that.
See you later, Granny.
Bye, Granny.
Bye.
Oh, she's funny. She's brilliant. I love it.
I wear sunscreen. It's hot, Hades here. Protect yourself.
It's not yet, but it's going to be here in the next month. We got a little rain yesterday or something. Cooled everything off, rinsed all the dirt off a little bit, get that desert dust. It's always fun. Anyways, where were we? What were we talking about? Who? Where? Who? Oh, shots. Shots. Yeah, my bosses want me to get the shot. I'm the only person in the whole office that hasn't had it.
Oh, wow.
So guess I'll go do that soon. But they said, oh, we can arrange that. And then I get there and I start working and realize that they do the shots. So I think that I'll probably get a freebie.
Cool.
Or maybe as soon as they give me insurance, they'll bill the insurance for it. Anyway, so. Oh, hi, Lindy. How are you? Anyways, so Tobin, did you get yours yet?
No, that is one of the things on the list. I still need to go and I actually have some things I need to get taken care of, like my license. I need to get I actually have. It's gone past that point to where I actually have to go in the office and go take my picture again and all that, and certain little responsibilities like that, and like the shot. I need to go get my shot. I stay out here I stay out in the rural country, and I'm pretty much with my family just the whole time. I don't interact with a whole lot of people, but it is one of those things I would like to get done. I do like hanging out with people, and if I want to be social, I should be taken care of like that.
Well, what they're doing here is, like, I went in the barbershop the other day, and they've had the mask rule now for a year and whatever, a year and change. And I said, can I take my mask off? And they said, have you had the shot? Do you have your card? And I said, no. And they said, got to leave it on. Okay.
Yeah.
So I left it on.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so people are starting around here. People are starting to carry the card with them saying, yeah, I've had my shot. It's okay for me to go to the dentist, or it's okay for me to, whatever.
It's kind of an unspoken rule. Like, there's certain places where people, like at restaurants, people, they take their masks off, but we're not just one table away. We're 2 tables away from each other,
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you go to a restaurant, they separate you and you're outside.
There was a recent study by MIT, and it showed that it didn't matter if you're fucking 6 feet away or 60 feet away indoors, if you're eating and hanging out, in terms of distancing and catching the virus. What really matters is whether or not there's good ventilation and whether or not people are wearing masks. So that 6 foot distance is bullshit.
I've become,
yeah, that's why I said outside. That's why I said outside, because you're right. And anytime I've gone to a restaurant, they've had us 12 feet apart or more, 10 feet apart or more.
That's like smoking sections back in the day in restaurants, It's like, I'm going to go to the non-smoking section, and the smoking section was right across the room.
Yeah.
They'd have the pillars with the half wall.
Oh, yeah.
That's what separated it. Yeah, I remember that shit.
My thing is as somebody who's an extremely social person, I don't think I ever want to be around people again. At least for a while, But the cool thing about even living in Southern California, like I went to the beach, I just started driving north to where I didn't see any people. And then I pulled over and hung out at the beach,
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. That's great. That's how I prefer the beach anyways, to be honest with you. I don't want anybody around me.
And Ox,
that's why I used to go at night when it was quiet and dead and it was just me and me and the waves.
To answer Ox's laminate your car, I laminate everything. I got pulled over one time, and a cop thanked me for laminating my insurance and everything.
Oh, nice.
Like, this is the most convenient thing, and I'm like, you're an a-hole. You're still giving me a ticket, a-hole, but thanks.
But how about throwing out that ticket?
No, like I always say, I drive like a bat out of hell. So when I get pulled over, I don't think it's because of race. It's because I drive like an idiot. I know, like, oh, you caught me. I say it all the time, like, oh, you caught me, because I'm even today on the freeway. I told myself, you need to slow the hell down.
Yeah, would you? We kind of like you. We want you around a little bit longer.
The problem is Tuesday through
just another month or two, right, Andy? Just a little bit.
Tuesday through Thursday on LA highways, it's the everyday kind of people, but on the weekends you get people from out of town, from the outskirts. And they don't realize that we drive at light speed in the fast lane here in LA. And so it causes more.
Get the fuck out of the way.
If you're going 70 in the fast lane in LA, you're like, I hope your insurance card's up. Yeah. And you have a good stomach.
I remember getting on the highway down there, and there was a hill, a little bit of a rise kind of thing. Like, I think I might have been going north. I don't remember. And I'm trying to go up the hill, and I'm fully loaded in a tractor trailer. and these cars are like, and I'm in the slow lane, I'm in the truck lane, and these cars are like whizzing around me, blowing their horn at me, like "fuck you," and I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm going like my foot's on the floor, man.
Yeah. We're insane here. We are.
Yeah.
We're
I
insane.
got hit several times there. It's true. So I started going in and out at night. I solved that problem.
It's one of the biggest disturbances that ever happened to me is that I learned how to drive out here. So I drive like it's NASCAR, and everywhere else, you know, they don't drive like that. We have
Florida.
In this town,
Orlando, Florida, they drive like that.
on our surface streets, our speed limit is 55 miles an hour. That's to keep the flow of traffic because there's so many people here. But you know, we smash around here.
Well, Andy said he's got to go. So Andy, thank you for coming by.
Had a lot of fun. Thanks for
having me.
I
appreciate you. Definitely.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye, buddy.
And I'll see you around.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, you, besides your morning show that I know about, what else do you do?
I'm doing a late night show on Sundays at 10:30. I'm actually doing a book review. I have the author coming in. You know, I read books sometimes, and then I have authors come on and we talk about the books. It's an atheist book. I forget the name of it, by Zach Roach. He does Dangerous Talk. He's a good guy. I have the book somewhere in here, my computer, but it's all about atheism, and it should be fun. It should be fun. And of course, my co-host is Jack Materko, who is Satanist member of the Satanic Temple Extraordinaire, and we always have fun on Sunday nights at 10:30 Eastern.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, good. We'll see you there. And then there's the 9 a.m. Central.
Monday through Friday.
9 a.m. Eastern, rather.
9 a.m. And then we do an open room from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning too, which is pretty incredible. We have people from all over the world. We have people from Britain popping in. We have people from Australia popping in.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Rub it in that my streams are too late. Go ahead.
Well, it's all about the timing, brother. It's all about the timing, right? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's midnight in Australia, but
exactly.
But my buddy's up at like midnight, right?
Right.
So, and then we have so it's a good group of people. Like I said, it's a nice international feel to it.
Nice. Okay. Well, we'll see you then, Andy. And have a great night.
Take care, everyone.
Peace out, buddy.
Bye.
I still have a story for what y'all were last talking about. I bought an old truck a little while back, and I'd be driving places, and people would pass me up all the damn time. And like it got like 2 weeks into it, and like a woman was passing me and flipping me off, and I was like, why am I getting passed up so much? And then I finally thought about it. I was like, maybe I should check my speedometer. And I have a TomTom, and I turned that little thing on, and I got my speed limit thing going. And I had been driving 10 miles under the speed limit everywhere I was going for like 2 weeks. Driving people.
You didn't
crazy.
Notice, man.
I was about to say here.
I would have noticed.
People
Three,
went
maybe.
Driving a
Three,
small
no,
car.
5 or more. Oh, you're in a small car.
I went from driving a small car to a bigger truck. And
would you always feel like you're driving slower anyway? Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what trucks do to you. Well, I did the same thing. I had that Toyota CHR, and it's like a little bit bigger in the car, but it's quite a bit smaller than a regular SUV. And it was a cool little car, and it went. But when I got in my pickup truck, I was like, "No, I'm going 10 over the speed limit." I forgot how slow you feel like you're driving in a truck.
So
the bigger it gets, the slower you feel like you're going.
Exactly. Like my 88, it's a beast, and I have specialty parts in there, and that thing flies, but I have to get up to the speed. It's not like I hit the gas and it just goes. I got in someone pulled up next to me in an F-150, and they started revving their engine, and I looked at them like, "Oh, don't you know I'm juvenile? Of course I'll race you." we had the slowest race.
15. The permission of a 40-year-old.
we it was the slowest. It was down the main vein of this side of town. It was the slowest race you've ever seen in your life. It both took us like 60 seconds to get up to like 50. I smoked him though. I smoked him eventually.
After we hit fourth gear in that truck, man, I beat his ass.
And yes, tons of mice. I have no patience, so I need cups that are at least half a pot of coffee because I have no patience. I don't want to keep walking back.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I mean, look, this is what's bad. Ready? Here's my coffee right here, and I still use a big cup. I don't even want to pour it, Will.
I think these were meant for cereal. I get them at the dollar store by my house.
Ooh, actually, they're for soup. They're soup cups. So you can eat it with a spoon, and then when it gets low, you can drink it. Soup mugs. Yep.
I have a coffee addiction. Could be worse.
So what's been going on, Swede? You haven't said shit. Did you get your parts?
No. Well, yeah, I did, and then I found out that my memory sticks are too big for the 280 millimeter radiator for my.
Oh yeah, that's what he said.
I always have that problem, Swede. I always have that problem.
And, so these are too tall, so I had to freaking order and 2-day ship a radiator that will fit underneath here.
That's still extremely sexy looking, Swede.
It is looking pretty sexy, man.
It's going to be nice and all RGB, so it's all going to like be purple or whatever color I want, or I can even tune it to go to the color like of the temperature of the CPU. So if the CPU starts running hot, it can turn red.
Awesome.
And then if it's running cool, it can be blue and then go in between and.
Nice.
Or I can have it pulse with whatever sound is coming out.
Heck
so
yeah.
if you listen to music, it can.
That's cool too.
So and then
are you okay with your CPU being the sexiest thing in that room, or is it just because I'm not into guys?
The front, there's 3 fans behind here that are lit up RGB.
Awesome.
So the whole case is metal with that dark glass.
The one side that will face, where I sit is the tempered glass. The other side is just metal.
Oh, okay. I could dig it.
So I have sorry.
Oh, and then the top is a mesh filter, so it can filter out the dust before it gets sucked in.
I have a question for Never Again. Why did Andy block you? Sorry, I'm the youngest of 9. I'm naturally curious. I'm observant when people write things.
She'll tell you about it. She told me about it. I was like, dude, and I keep forgetting to talk to Andy about it. Like, dude, what was that about? He's blocked her, so she can't even talk to him to be like, dude, what was so bad?
It happened. You know what? Like,
the bottom line is there's lots of misunderstandings on YouTube because you're texting into a chat. There's no inflection in your voice. You don't know if somebody's joking. You don't know, until you know that person. So it can be rough. Go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, Tobin.
Just yesterday, on Neil's channel, this just happened to be happenstance. I was working in my room. Mikey had put a link up, and I had heard that whenever I'm working, I'm kind of halfway in and out from hearing the conversations. He put the link up and he announced that, and I went to the chat and I went to say thank you, Mikey. And whenever I did that, I saw Mikey pop up on my little bar, and I just hit that instead of typing it all out. And I looked back at it and I was like, oh, I said thank you, Mickey. And I retracted it and I put in the correct name.
Yeah.
Kendra put LOL, and I had finished what I was doing over at another section and walked back in here, and Kendra was laughing at me, and I was like, what? And at that moment in time, Mikey had just gotten done saying, I don't like it when people call me Mickey.
Oh, so it looked like you were saying it being a smartass.
Right, and there was a couple other people who were like chiming in. I'm not sure if I don't know how it was taken, but I literally that all that coming together. I wasn't trying to be a smartass. I didn't even hear him say that.
I don't even think that offended Mikey though, because I saw that happen in the chat. I was watching the chat and the stream when that happened. And I don't think he got like upset.
That was not me being
no,
witty.
No, you retracted. Yeah, you retracted it.
Tobin, I have said
Mikey's pretty cool anyway.
I have said so much crazy shit on the internet. I've lost track at this point. I've made enemies by saying hello to people. People are fickle, you know. Just I kind of have a policy of hanging around the people that want to hang around me, and I just don't want to have dumpster fires and like be screaming at people. So as long as it doesn't get to that point, I could care less. But last night, Jen and I ran into a problem.
What?
We were like, who do we invite? This person hates this person. That person hates that person.
It's hard, isn't it?
Won't, like, we sat there for a good 20 minutes. Because I called her about an hour and a half before the stream. And I was like, look, I kind of have a problem. I want to invite everybody, but there's about 5 people that don't like each other, and I'm on that list.
Right? I know.
Somebody
right?
I don't like. So it's effed up. We are human beings. You know, we're all sensitive, whether we admit it or not. We have our triggers. We have our limitations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's people I don't. Oh, go ahead.
One thing, I would tell my younger self is that, man, it's not hard to write the songs. It's not hard to, you know, have a band. The hardest thing about making a band is keeping everybody together. Really, whenever it comes down to it, you can get with people and like make excellent fucking music, and then there's just this one little moment that happens. I've been in really fucking cool projects, and then it like deteriorates. And
I wouldn't give my younger self any advice because I was an asshole and wouldn't listen to anybody, and I just don't want to deal with that. I know what I used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If
I know what an asshole looks like. I used to be one. I'm not putting up with it.
If I would walk up to myself and gut punch me. Get it together. Punch it right in the stomach. Right.
Don't go to Vegas this weekend.
Exactly. Exactly.
I agree. Never. I agree. I think people. I think that we're all swayed, or bigoted or prejudiced or something in one way or the other. I don't think any of us are totally free of prejudice. Whether it's against someone of a different race, or it's against the homeless person, or the person that's recovering drug addict, or recovering alcohol, or one that is an addict or an alcoholic or whatever. Like we all have prejudice. Like I do here now. I do with the homeless people. I just assume they're all drunks and druggies because there's so many of them that are.
Yeah, but
they all get that other 10 or 15% that isn't gets classified in with them.
But as somebody who has an addiction problem, like I quit smoking nicotine 3 years ago. Do you know I should have quit 15 years ago? I should have quit 20 years ago. But I tried to quit literally throughout my entire 20s. I tried to quit smoking, and I was just on this carousel. I kept on coming back and coming back, you know. So it's not easy. I quit 1,000 times. You know, and finally, this is probably the longest stretch I've ever had without ever picking up a cigarette again. I quit drinking. I quit drinking 5 years, and I haven't picked up a singular drink at all in 5 years. But how many times did I try to quit drinking before that? You know,
right.
So,
the bottom line is you have to be ready to quit. Number one,
exactly,
and that's why people are like, "Oh, you should try to quit." And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm not ready to." I know I'm not. I can admit that. You know, I didn't aim to quit drinking, but I really haven't drank shit in months. You know, and I have like that beer I bought, and the whole pack is still sitting here. It's still full. I haven't drank one of them. You know, but sometimes you want to drink, and sometimes you want to smoke. Sometimes you don't.
6 months before my second kid was born, I just my wife and I went to New York, and I chewed for 10 years.
Oh wow.
Oh really?
Wow.
And just didn't and just finished a can right the day before and just didn't buy another one and just left because my wife was like, the deal was you can't chew around me. So I was like, well, I'm going to be around her for, 6 straight days. Why buy a can? And then when we got back, I was like, why buy a can?
Yeah, you made it 6 days. Yeah. Well, the hardest part, it's not even the nicotine. Nicotine's out of your system in like 3 days or something like that. It's the habit.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem I have is here's where I'm at, right? Either I'm going to smoke or I'm going to eat. And every time I quit smoking, I gain a bunch of weight. And then I'm at like, well, at what point? See, here's the thing. I can quit smoking whenever I'm ready. You get so old, you're not losing that weight.
I was about to say,
fight like a bitch to get rid of that weight. So I figure I'll wait till I get a little older and get new habits or something, or maybe when I retire and I could just stand around with a fucking joint hanging out of my mouth all the time, because that's what I'm going to do when I'm old. I'm going to be fucking high. That's where you'll find me, in front of my house high, if anybody wants to visit. So until I get to that point, then I'm just going to smoke for right now, because I don't want to hit 60 years old and be fat as fuck and stuck like that. Fuck that shit.
What helped me is cinnamon fire jelly
93
ranchers.
to 96. I'm not living 30 fucking some odd years fat. I'm not doing it.
For me, it was
cinnamon fire Jolly Ranchers. That's what got me.
See, I can't chew gum. I can't chew gum because I have a broken jaw.
Well,
my jaw's been broken for like fucking.
Then do hard candy.
23 years now, or
then
whatever.
Do hard candy.
Hard
like
candy.
A Jolly Rancher.
Okay, now you're hurting my teeth. Because when I broke my jaw, I busted a bunch of my teeth. I have fake teeth and fucked up shit going on in my like 1/4 of my teeth are fake.
All you're doing is sucking on it.
They're so good. I have a jar like Lamar
they
Odom.
really are good. I love cinnamon anything. If it's cinnamon or dark chocolate or yeah. So I want one of them Indian chicks. They look kind of like cinnamon dark chocolate. You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm a stoner, I have a jar of Jolly Ranchers, like Tootsie Pops, Tootsie Rolls. I'm addicted to candy.
Never again. I'm going to tell you, I do this all the time. I clench my jaw I clench my jaw in my sleep. If I don't, that's why one of the reasons I smoke at night. Shh. That's one of the reasons I smoke, because I'm like this.
So Cadence,
and then I get home and then I smoke a little bit and I start going, like there's not enough medicine.
Cadence wrote, I buy a pack once every few months and crave the addiction before it's still there, but end up throwing it halfway. I did that too many times. So I completely agree with you. It took a while. I spent my entire 20s trying to quit smoking cigarettes, but I'm the kind of person, I get addicted to things easily. So if I like coffee,
I'm not
coffee all day. If I like,
but that's what's weird about me. Coffee and cigarettes are only my only bad habits, and coffee's really not even that bad. But anyway, but that's I used to, when I was in my 20s, I did like cocaine and everybody was partying for months, and then they were like, hey dude, you want to go pick up some more? And I was like, nah, I'm done. And they're like, what? They all thought I was crazy. Why would I stop doing lines of coke? What do you mean stop doing lines of coke? We're all going to keep doing it. This is what we're doing.
So
this is 1990 in Florida. You know
how I know Jen Little's Corner. Jen has been in my StreamYards is because this has changed. Hold on.
Yeah, you're not Broke Black Mountain anymore.
There we go. Boom. There we go.
There it is.
I knew.
I wish I could quit you.
I can't quit you.
I told her, I was like, she's like, oh, she's like, it's fine. I said, you're not going to like it that long. And here we are like 6 months later, and she changes it every time she gets in my StreamYards. Because it'll come up as my picture too, because StreamYards is saying that she's me,
Yeah.
Because I gave her the key to my StreamYard, so it's hilarious. I always forget.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. My brother gave me his. I should totally fuck with him.
Oh, she's like I said.
Oops. No.
Jen knows my secrets that I do the, what is it? The overbite? The white guy overbite? Is that what it's called?
I don't know what
I dance badly. I dance badly, and she caught me, and I was actually embarrassed because I get down. God. I have speakers hooked up in here. I put on some YouTube, and I get down. I get down. Like it goes from at any moment it could be 1988 in here or 1998.
As long as it's not 1918. Jeez.
No, that's over on the Christian stream.
I do listen to a lot of Sabathon, if that helps. Their history. They make a ton of songs about history.
Yes, I know, and it's those of us that like to read about and like actually get into the nuts and bolts of history. We, the memes, the starter pack.
Yeah.
The history idiot starter pack. One of them is Sabaton.
So I'd never heard of them before, and my son was like, "I'm into Sabathon." So I went and I bought all their CDs and stuff, and I got into it. I saw them when they came to LA.
At first, I thought you were
my favorite song of theirs that is completely historically inaccurate is "The Winged Hussars."
I love that song,
but it's completely inaccurate. The battle had already been won before the horse charge even started.
Yeah, but that's not dramatic, Swede. That's not dramatic.
Yeah,
but
cool and fun.
Realistically, it is still the most devastating, largest horse charge ever in history.
Okay, so I'll tell you something because my son isn't within earshot. They did tick me off when they made the Bismarck song. They did tick me off. This was I think they made the Bismarck song like a year ago or something like that. But that's just because my dad was in the Navy, and that was like a bedtime story for me, was the sinking of the hood, So their history, like you said, their history is just a bit off.
Yeah.
But well, I look at Sabathon
the Bismarck's history is so boring too. It was a biplane torpedo plane. Basically kicked its rudder, and then all it could do was turn.
Damn right. Damn right, dude.
It was so aircraft carriers can just do whatever they want, and battleships are bullshit now. I mean, the Gneisenau and Scharnhorst were about the only thing that did anything, and that's because they were so fucking fast that they were convoy raiders. But even then, when they got trapped in port, they got blown up. So the Tirpitz, same thing.
There was no invincible ship, and I'm sure there still isn't.
Well, the HMS Invincible did not live up to its name.
And now I just have Marty Robbins stuck in my head. Gotta cut her down. Sorry. Bismarck song is amazing. Absolutely an amazing song.
40-1 is probably my favorite.
40-1.
Yeah, it's a favorite in Poland where the 39-1 was the invading number of advantage of German soldiers that crossed the border into Poland.
Right.
So they had a 39-1 advantage, and or 40-1 advantage, and the song goes on that if you only had a 39-1 advantage, we would have beat you. So you'd better come
just
with 40
to motherfucker, and that would have been it.
So you better come 40-1. I think there's one of the lines in it.
That's great.
Poland's kind of a scary country right now. It's gotten so Nazi-ish that it's kind of weird. Their nationalist party is freaky.
Shot a horse charge one. Okay. I'm not really quite sure what you mean by horse charge, but okay. I'm glad you lived. I'm glad you lived, sir.
It's always at the good part. I got to go take off.
No, I mean, we're really whatever.
Am I the echo? Is that me? Hold on.
Yeah, it is. I think. Or maybe it's Tobin. Maybe it's Swede.
I'm just making sure.
I know it's not me.
I gotta go make sure there's a peaceful transfer, and
Sweet.
I'm gonna smoke a J with my ex-wife's husband. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, it's Friday night. I forgot. Maybe it's Friday night. My bad.
No, he's coming to pick up my kid. He's my friend. You should make friends with your ex-wife's husband. Makes life easier.
Don't they do they do movie night tonight?
Yes.
And that's what, 10 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
Like now?
Well, no, it's in an hour.
Oh, in an hour. Okay.
Hold on, but let me check that real quick.
Yeah, give me that link and throw it in the chat so everybody can go over there if they're going to be up late.
You know, I was raised by boomers. I have a brother.
Never said smoke one for me, Will.
I will. Heck yeah, never again. I definitely
enough
will.
for all of us. Trust me. I don't even smoke anymore. I just wait for the high to come over from LA. That's how I get high.
I will say the legalization of pot did help me quit smoking nicotine. I was like, oh, nicotine is not important. The second they legalized pot, I was like, bye nicotine. You've been a good friend, but we're not that close.
Look, I'm going to tell you though, like the stuff around here, you're not going to walk around smoking that all day. You'll just be in bed. You won't do anything.
So how is that affected? Like, if I go to a shop, can I get like Reggie instead of like going, something
you can get they have like a bottom shelf that's like the cheap shit, and it's got like popcorn and stuff little buds on it, and then the next one up will have like a little bit bigger popcorn buds, but they're not really they're not the tiniest ones, and then some leafy shit, and so they'll have like 4 shelves of which I just found this out because I went to my first dispensary like a month and a half ago. So they have like the bottom shelf, the popcorn shelf, bottom shelf, mid, and then the good shit. And it'll tell you how much it is per gram or whatever. And most places, most dispensary, well, at least in Colorado, they limit it to 1 ounce per customer per day.
Here too. If you have a rec, you can, apparently I heard today online, if you have a recreational card, you can get 28 ounces in 1 day. That's what I said. I was in line right behind
someone. Who needs that much?
That's what I thought.
Who the fuck?
It dries out. If I was to buy that much, it would dry out before I could really get to it.
See, but I'll do, like, I'll go in one day and buy an O of shake, and then I go in the next day and buy the good stuff. The stuff that I'm eventually, I'll smoke when I'm actually sitting down and doing stuff.
Yeah.
I go in there and I tell them, like, I want the old man stuff that I can still be functional and not want to punch people in the face.
And
hell,
I just kind of go. That's it.
Because I will say, I'm going to tell you the truth. Nicotine was the most addictive substance I've ever been around in my life. And I still have dreams that I'm smoking cigarettes. It was the harshest drop I've ever had in my life.
More addicting than heroin.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Literally more addicting than heroin. It's like 4,000 more times more addictive than heroin.
One of the reasons it's so readily available.
That's what I'm saying. So when I quit smoking nicotine, I felt a real change inside myself. I was a monster for a while, and legal pot kept me from going to prison for a while. Now I can handle life, but I couldn't handle the drop. Like, I was not ready for it. And as the older I got, I became allergic to the patch and all these other things because of my asthma. I can't take Chantix and blah, blah, blah. The gum gives you mouth cancer. And so I just went cold turkey, and it was an experience.
You know what I do at work sometimes, I will admit, if I have a long stressful day at work, I have some of the snus. And I won't go out to smoke, and I'll pop one of those in, but it's like so mild, you could just swallow it. And so I do that sometimes, not very often, but.
All right, I'm gonna get going. Everybody in the chat, you're awesome. I love all you guys.
Out of here too in a minute.
It was great to see you, Tobin. Sweet, you're awesome as always. One day I'm gonna get a blanket and an old school nightcap, a literal one, and I want you to tell me tales of the Bismarck. And
we can do that. We can open up a book and read it.
What I can tell you is tales of bomber crews out of Italy.
Ooh, I want to hear it. Ooh, I want to hear it.
And I will just recall the tales that my grandfather told
See, that's even better. Those are the best stories.
Sweet. Why don't we do that on one of the history nights, man? I'd love to hear that shit.
Have a great night,
I love that
guys.
kind of stuff, man.
What I'm going to actually do is convert his 2-hour interview he did with Nebraska Public Television to digital and upload it so you can.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
he did an interview, and we have to convert it from VHS to
something usable in today's world. Check.
Yeah, well, I think my dad actually got it on DVD. So, but I don't have a DVD player.
Well, you can send those away and get them put on a CD.
And they
every photo people everywhere do that now.
But I don't have a CD tray.
The external ones are real cheap.
Oh, you can have them. You can have them put it on a thumb drive too.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll put it on either one. You just pay for whichever one you want.
To me, a CD tray now is a retractable cup holder.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea. I never thought about that. Never said you could borrow mine, Swede.
Well, if you're anywhere near Omaha, sure.
I have a laptop, so I do not have one. I have a medium laptop.
Yes, you are that old.
Yes, you are that fucking old.
I think my last computer is the last one that had a DVD player in it. Like nothing uses that anymore. You boot from a USB port now. If you format your hard drive and you want to reinstall Windows, where is it? I mean, here it is.
So you got a secret lab chair. Those fuckers are expensive. Is that one comfortable?
It is quite possibly the most comfortable chair I've ever had.
Does it recline?
Yeah. It does the whole like office chair mobility.
Nice.
So yeah, it is.
I'm looking for a new one because when I bought this one, I thought it was a recline one, and then I got it home and I took it out and put it all together, and I went, "Oh, I'm not taking this bitch back apart."
The best part about this though is you tell them what your size and everything is of your height and everything, and it actually designs it so that you sit in it properly.
Oh.
So you actually get a deeper chair if you're taller. You
get
a higher back if you're taller.
Nice. Is
Is
it cheaper if you're short?
What's that?
Is it cheaper if you're short?
Yeah, actually it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good deal then.
I think you get about 20% less cost if you're that. I mean, if you're like 5'5".
Well, 5'6" with 5'6.5" with shoes on, man. Come on.
Sure.
I'm shrinking, sweet. When I went in the military, when I was younger and got physicals all the time, even when I was driving truck, 5'6.5". And then I didn't go to a doctor or anything for 4 or 6 years or something. They measured me and they were like, "You're 5'6". And I was like, "No, I'm not. Measure me again." They said, "You're still 5'6". I said, wait, readjust. Do it one more time. And I was like, "Fuck, I'm 5'6". Well, yeah, that's one good thing about my chair, Cadence, is it is a I bought a what do they call them? I don't know, the ones for bigger dudes. I bought one of those intentionally because I have more room and I can sit cross-legged in it, and it's it's made by Sealy, so it's comfortable, like it's soft and comfortable, but I want something that reclines. So yeah, so that's it. That's what I'm ending on. Reclining chairs. We made a full circle here, I think. Can anybody relate reclining chairs to racism?
What?
Sweet goes, what? I was trying to circle all the way back around to the original topic because that's usually what happens on my streams. But I can't do it because I can't relate a reclining chair to racism.
But here's what Windows comes on now.
Really?
Yep. Huh. Just pop it in your USB drive and it installs for you.
About damn time they made something convenient.
Heck yeah.
Yes, Cadence. That's exactly the big and tall. Sealy Big and Tall. That's what I have. Yeah, for sure. So my boss is so cool. Not only did I get this awesome message when I after I left work, But she brought me in the office. She's like, come here for a second. I'm like, okay. And I thought, did I do something wrong? You know? So she takes me in her office and she's like, which one of these chairs do you like? I know that one you have out there sucks. I want to buy you a brand new one. Which one do you like? And I was like, oh, that one. What do you think about having headsets for the phones instead of having to hold them? I said, I would love a headset for the phones. I'll get you guys some. Great boss. So anyway, so she's gonna buy a $280 stool for me. That's like ergonomic and everything, so it won't hurt my back. So good shit. Tobin, are you gonna be anywhere in the next few days that you know of?
Yeah, here, I think like the next week, I'll hang out with Math Pig.
Oh, cool. Oh, you froze, Tobin. Oh, there you are. Okay. Carry on.
Oh, I just closed it. I was trying to move it to where I could see it better. But yeah, here soon, I'm gonna go hang out with Math Pig.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bounce around and just get into some conversations. And
yeah, man. That's
I need
what it's
to
all about.
get scheduled up and go talk to your brother again.
Yeah,
that was a pretty invigorating discussion there. That was
it was pretty good. And let me know when you guys are going to do it again. I'll pop over and harass you. You know, I'm good at that.
Heck yeah, right on.
What do you got coming up, Sweet? Anything besides working on grandpa stuff?
Building this thing. Let's see here. Next week, I've got a lot of shit to do because the following week I go to Phoenix for a week for work. Conference. Yay.
Ooh, those are so exciting. Hey.
So yeah, I mean, we get to stay at the JW Marriott there, so it's not that bad, and it's a free trip. And I already had a trip last year that got canceled on me, so I had enough in voucher to upgrade to first class.
Oh, nice.
So at no cost, obviously.
I've gotten to sit in first class one time because they were like, hey, we have extra room in first class. Would anybody like to go up there? And they asked me first. I was like, yeah, I'll go up to first class.
Being 6'5", I have to sit in at least Comfort Plus. Otherwise my knees.
Oh, I know. You're the same height as my brother-in-law. He has a fit with that shit, man. Like they own a Ford Explorer. That's what they drive. And he fills the whole, because he's so fucking tall, man. Yep. His arms are like crazy. And my nephew's the same way. He said he'll never own a house with a ceiling fan. Because he got hit in the head one time. He walked into somebody's house and it was dark and it was light outside, and he walked in and they were talking to him. And he said something like this and he turned around and fucking ceiling fan smacked him right in the head. He was like, never in my house.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you only have 7-foot ceilings, if you have 9-foot ceilings, you're all right.
Yeah, as long as you get the huggers, right? 8 feet or above is okay. The huggers hug the ceiling, but yeah, no, it was funny though. He might have ceiling fans. I don't know. And of course, you guys can catch Sweet on all of Neil's after parties because Sweet is a frequent goer of the BS of the after party. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. I'm going to head over because I don't have to work for the weekend and I'm going to not do shit tomorrow. So I'm going to go to movie night here in a little bit and I'll see all you guys over there. No, I don't have a link because I suck. I did not look that up. Will was supposed to and he never did. So everybody, thanks for coming. Have a great night. Take care of take care of each other. Take care of yourselves.
Wear a mask. Don't be a dick.
Wear a mask. Don't be a dick. Please. Seriously. And have some peace.